Welcome to Sink or Swim, presented by Squid Group, your digital marketing partner. In this podcast, we talk to Bernard Powell about the human transformation system Lean. Bernard Powell started Premier Group when he was 18, gaining clients like Mitre10 and Bunnings. We also discuss the challenges of business and how he nearly sunk the business with the building of their new factory, which went over budget and led to holding $1 million in excess inventory. Hope you enjoy it. Cool. Well, that obviously good to have you on Sink or Swim. I've heard a lot about, I've seen a lot about what you're doing on LinkedIn.
Nice.
So we may as well jump into what you were just talking about. So tell me about Lean. Tell me about what you do.
Straight into the Lean.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Thanks, Lawrence. Do you want me to look at the camera here?
I do. You can talk to me.
Just whatever. Okay, sweet.
Talk to me, it's all good.
Every podcaster wants to do this different. So basically, the lean buzz. If you've never come across it before, I just had a quick chat with you before, but the Toyota way is known mostly in the Western world as lean or lean manufacturing. And most people think it's a system that's just for manufacturing or just applies to maybe even just the automotive industry. But we regard lean as a human transformation system because right at the heart of lean is growing people, like educating and growing and training people. So it's pretty amazing, helping people reach their full potential, which is what's always been my buzz. But when I came across lean, we tried to implement it in our business. We hired consultants, and because we manufacture, right? So we manufacture bricks and paving and retaining products and all sorts of landscaping and building products. And of course, we've got these other brands that we had a quick chat about, like Premier Turf and Premier Cement and all those things. So if you're watching this, by the way, and you want some great products, come and see us. Hope that's okay to put that in there, Lawrence. Got to sell something. Yeah. Anyway, because remember, guys, the nothing happens till somebody sells something. So it's very important to learn how to sell. You know that, Lawrence, being in business. So anyway, getting back to this lean thing. So I read this book in 2017. We'd gone from we had 10 years of massive business growth, right? We're selling to, we got big accounts on board like Mitre10 and Bunnings and some great New Zealand brands, iconic Kiwi brands that obviously Bunnings is more Australian, but it's big in New Zealand now, right? Placemakers and then some of the awesome group home builders like Signature Homes and GJ Gardeners and all those sorts of great people, and selling our products to them and through them and grow. And then we came in. So I'm telling you this in a bit of a roundabout way, but it's kind of important because for your viewers, it'll help them to understand our journey and why lean is so amazing and why you should do it. We went from being very corporate or trying to run our company in a sort of corporate and boring sort of way, which was the only way I sort of knew or thought that was the right way, to then coming across the concept of culture first, putting culture first as a mentality in your business or a strategy or a way of life. And I looked at that and I thought, wow, this is amazing. So we made some changes really rapidly in the business. This is in 2015. And then so we had some rapid culture transformation across the business. I can dive in deeper on that if you want me to later. But to keep this moving, we took out New Zealand Best Workplace in New Zealand Award in 2016, which was just crazy because the first year we'd ever entered this competition. Had been going for 17 years. We came from nowhere and took it out at a score of 98% employee engagement, which was the highest I'd ever seen in the history of the competition. So it was mind-blowing. And of course, that gave us a bit of a platform because people were like, wow, how did you do that? And then I started getting asked to do some keynote speaking and consulting and stuff like that, helping other companies with their workplace culture. Anyway, so trying to get through, cut a long story short, we had some really rapid success, and to crown it off was this massive award, which was amazing. But then the next year, 2017, we went through this process of trying to install a new plant in one of our paving factories, our Hamilton factory. And we went about $1 million over budget. We didn't scope it out right. We didn't plan it right. We just didn't do the detail right. So it was a crazy learning curve. Nearly sent us to the wall, really. Then we went about $1 million over in inventory as well, like excess inventory, which is one of the 8 deadly sins of waste you'll learn about when you learn about lean. It was just crazy. And and out of the blue, a mate of mine came through that I hadn't heard from for years, came through on LinkedIn and said, hey, have you read this book, 2 Second Lean by Paul Ackers? And I said, no idea, but what's the guts of it? And he told me, this is what it's about. I said, I need this right now. And I ordered back then it was before You could get it. I don't even think Audible was around then. So I ordered the CDs, got them, started playing them in my ute on the way to work and back. Got the hard copy of the book, and that got posted over from America from this dude, Paul, and read it and just devoured it. And then we started implementing the principles straight away. So it took this big, in a nutshell, it took this big scary idea of lean or the Toyota way and distills it down into this really simple way of doing business or doing lean, which means every day in your bit, like it's called 2-second lean. So, which means basically the premise of it is everyone in your business, every single day, or everyone in your team is expected to make just one tiny improvement that will save just 2 seconds in a process. Literally, that's all you're asking for. So you set the bar really low and say, this is all I want you to do. So you go from saying to people, I want you to continuously improve and strip out waste, which is kind of a scary idea, and most people look at you like, what the H are you talking about?
Where do you even start with that?
Where do you start? Where do I start? This makes it really simple. And even simpler, there's some simple we still use these terminology today. We say fix what bugs you. Like everyone's got something that's bugging them at work. You know, there'll be things in the studio that are bugging you right now, and you go, and the whole principle of this is, if let's say you embrace this right away after this podcast, and you say, right, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to read the book and do this thing. Straight away, you can stop. It's about stopping and fixing what bugs you. Or if there's any struggle, there's an opportunity to improve. So you stop. And it's about really creating a stop culture. Because in Western businesses, we find we're very different to the way that they now do, business in Japan, and actually a lot of Asian countries now that are practicing lean. And it's spread across the West hugely, like massively, because they took it to America and all the car manufacturers there use it, and a lot of other type of manufacturers. But it makes it really achievable, and straight away people get this buzz from making this tiny improvement. They feel like an owner straight away because they get to make an improvement. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, we could talk about this all freaking day, but there's a kick off for you.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway,
and so within your business, what would you say? You mentioned that you'd had a couple of challenges, and one of them being overstocking an inventory.
Yeah.
What would you say some of your biggest learnings from that were to obviously not make that happen again?
Good question. So get the basics right. So, like, I guess we're talking with your podcasting audience. Who are we talking to? Small business owners? Who are we talking?
Primarily small, like say medium to small. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So, you guys out there listening, my best advice is keep your promise. It sounds really simple, right? It sounds so simple, but like I said earlier, that'll wipe out 90% of your competition, because they think they're keeping their promises, but you'll find out that someone in their sales team or customer service team is not on the same page, and they'll let them down on the small things. So you got to get those right. There's lots of things I could say about getting into these. If you want to take on a big customer, and it's like sort of David versus Goliath in some ways. That's how we kind of approached it, because we were up against big corporates that dominated these spaces in like Mitre10 and Bunnings and Placemakers and these other great brands. And so we were going in there as the underdog. So you're fighting from from down low already. So you got to be like, you got to get everything right. So you make sure you got a good meeting agenda. Make sure the first thing is picking up the phone and getting to know this person. Yeah. Man, that's seriously, that's the first of it.
Especially for the whales.
Absolutely, the big whales, absolutely. And if you don't know what a big whale is, as like Lawrence can tell you what that is, but it's a big customer. You want to, it's some big giant scary customer that you think, wow, it's
out of reach.
Out of reach.
And it's, I think the whales are generally, it's a much longer sales process. Very rarely, to be fair, actually, we've potentially just signed a whale within a week, but
congratulations.
That's more just purely down to reputation, and they've been burned and want to come over. But and outside of that, most whales, the process is a year to 2 years before you actually get over that line. And I think consistency is so important. What you said just before, in the marketing game especially, it's so common for people to overpromise and underdeliver. And I think in the short term, when you first start out, especially with how easy it is to potentially start an agency in this world, you see a lot of clients go to people because it's cheaper.
Yes.
But generally, when you're paying for a cheaper product, you're getting a cheaper quality service.
Absolutely.
And what you do often find is that they will go to that agency for a period.
Yeah, totally.
But then suddenly 3 to 6 months later, they're like, actually, we need you.
Yeah.
We haven't been given X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And a perfect example of that is actually last week, we had a brand come to us.
Yeah.
And they went to, I knew it was a competitive bid.
Yeah.
We said to them, we can't and we will not match the price of what they've said because we know that that's actually not sustainable long term.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, they had literally been delivered one video where they were meant to be given one video every week.
Yeah.
And all these other outputs.
Yeah, so they've been totally sold down the road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part is I think you have to stay true to your guns around where do you actually offer value?
Yeah.
Where does the client need the value?
Yes.
And what price point is actually sustainable, not just now, but in 6 months' time to a year's time. Otherwise, you're just going to be churning and burning.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So if you that's great advice. So if you're in that space right now, you're chasing a big whale. You got to be in it for the long game. Mitre10 we got on probably quicker than we thought we would because they're a cooperative. We started going store by store, and pretty much all the stores were keen to stock our paving products and give us a go. So that was awesome. And then we started, I started ringing head office or support office and saying, hey. It's Bernard from Premier Pavers. That was our company name back then. Now that's one of our brands, one of our top brands. And saying, we've got your product in a couple of these stores. We'd love to come and have a chat, So, we'll show you what we've got and how we can add value at a nationwide level. It's like, whoa. I was kind of you got to freak yourself out a bit too. I mean, you can't be, I don't know. Some people say you got to be really careful, make sure you've done your numbers. And I agree with that too. But sometimes you got to really take that big, bold approach, get them over the line, and then figure out how you're going to do it. I've always sort of taken that approach. But so that took, I don't know, maybe a year, 2 years to kind of get that process and then start getting it through their network, their whole network. Bunnings is different. They're owned by all the stores are owned by head office. So if you get something over the line at head office, it's going to go through all the stores pretty much, instantly.
Yeah.
That took like 5 years of just continuous phone calls, meetings, so you gotta if you want it bad enough. So that's the overnight success that took 5 years. People looking and go, oh wow, you got Bunnings, you're in all the stores, you guys are a sensation, overnight sensation. It's like, well, this took 5 years plus all the years before that building the product and getting things right and learning. And so if you want to take on a big whale, get on the phone. You gotta grow a spine and get on the phone because emails don't cut it. So just dump the idea of emails. Emails are okay for follow through when you say, hey, I'll send you this, I'll send you. But the phone call's so critical. Get on the phone.
And getting past the gatekeeper, right?
Yeah.
I remember my first role when I stopped doing sport. My first role was cold calling.
Yeah.
And
good training.
It was great.
Yeah. It's good for you.
And it's like fun. You turn it into a game. Like who can you get through and you get round like
how
certain
many
people.
no's can I get today?
I got a meeting with who was the CEO of Pharmac, and he had just gone through to not White Cross. Is it White Cross? Yeah, the parent company of that. And I remember my sales director was like, "How did you even get through to this guy?"
Yeah.
And suddenly we were meeting.
You just picked up the phone.
Yeah, and I just kept calling through, wanting to speak to the person, and then eventually
you got through. Yeah. A huge amount of persistence, determination, resilience. I mean, you got to build those muscles because if you don't, you're never going to get the big whales. You're just not, and you'll become. You'll either always stay a small business, or you can grow through small. We grow through small businesses every day as well, bringing on. But you've got to keep. If you want to really grow, you've got to start chasing these big whales, and write down a little list of those targets. Those people that you want to call, and you've got to. I will say I'm a big believer in the fact that getting these accounts on board always takes 10 times the amount of effort that you thought it was going to take. So 10x your efforts, 10 times the phone calls. And when you go, if you finally make it that appointment, have a good agenda, and then you look professional. Take a gift, as some of these companies won't accept that. That's how we've got anti-bribery, blah blah blah. Still take it. They say, oh, that's fine. It was just to say thanks for your time, but could you give it to your team? So yeah, sure, we can put it in the lunchroom. You're still the most generous guy that's turned up that day, or generous girl. It just really. So be generous, be on the ball, preempt. Objections is a big one. It's easy to get into a meeting and get tripped up with objections that you hadn't thought of. So you can't preempt every objection, but if you can work them into your agenda where you're like talking about a common objection and how you've overcome that, it's so powerful because you then don't have to tell the customer he's wrong. It's so powerful because no one likes to be wrong, really. So whether they, people claim to be, I don't mind being told I'm wrong, blah, blah, blah. But most people have, some sense of pride. It's just natural. And that's how we're wired. So if you don't have to tell your customer he's wrong, you're in a really strong position. So and then follow, and then the main thing after that meeting is you write down actions as you go, write them in front of the customer. They can see that you care about them. Actually physically writing down notes as they chat, because you're probably again the only rep that's turned up that day that's taking notes. And we train our team to do this all the time. And it just sets them apart. And then follow through. It's like, okay, yes, here's our action list, and like repeat back to them, say, hey Bob or Barry or whatever, here's the key points I've taken from today's meeting. Is that everything? Have I missed anything? Here's all the follow-ups to the stuff I'm going to send you, and then get back and the faster you can see through that extra information or whatever, all those things you promised, the better. Just speed. I always say to our team, like, speed is the new black. Like it's the in thing. The more speed you've got, often we'll just win jobs on speed because we're the fastest one to get back with a quote, fastest one to follow up the quote. Bang, bang, bang. And, in most markets, we're more expensive because we've built this premier brand. It's more expensive because we give a premium service, we give premium quality. But people pay for it because we take away their pain. We remove their hassle, we remove their headaches. It's incredible.
Well, they say there's three things within that define a price point, right? So you've got speed, quality, and speed, quality, and I've forgotten the third one.
It'll come back to you when we've finished.
Quality, and
I mean, you can say service, but I suppose that is bound into your speed piece.
Well, anyways, there's three of them, and if you can't do all three, price. So speed, quality, and price. Yeah. So if you increase the price, you can do it faster. Yeah. Or you can probably maintain the quality. Yeah. But if you reduce the price, you can't do it really fast. Yeah. And maintain the quality.
And you can tell your customer that too. So don't be scared to say that, because often, like, we work with people that will, start to say, well, pricing is important. We say, sure, it's important, but what's more important, like that you have a 50-year warranty, that we will show up 10 years down the line if something does go wrong with your product, that, all these things that you can, all the value that you bring to the customer. And you need to be very clear on your value proposition, because that's one thing. Right from day one, I was always really clear when I was the guy selling to Mitre10 head office, Bunnings head office, going and doing those visits, doing those phone calls. You're always reiterating and reinforcing that value proposition. It's like, these are the things that set us apart. We have a 10-year warranty, the others don't. You can say that, but you need to get pretty brutal. We'll deliver on the day we say. The others won't. From what we hear out there, they don't. So we just get the basics right, But you got to be clear, and you got to keep reminding your customer, because they won't remember your value proposition unless you keep telling them.
And they churn through staff as well. So you might tell Paul, who's been there for 3 years, but suddenly he's gone, and suddenly Jenny's taking that role, and then
and that's what happens in these big box retail stores. They are churning through people, and so you got to keep reinforcing your value proposition all the time to them. Call it what you like, you call it your USPs or your UVPs, or everyone's got a different name for it. Doesn't really matter. What are your features of your product, but then what are the benefits to the customer? Two different things. Really key.
So I've got a slight diversion of question.
Yeah, all good. We could talk about that all day, what you were just asking then.
You said speed's really important.
Yeah.
And my superpower, if I could have one superpower.
Yes.
Would be speed.
Yes.
Like, I'd be like Flash. I'd be super fast.
When you say speed, getting back to the customer?
No, I'm talking about like I'd run around real fast.
Yeah.
I'm talking like I'm a fast guy.
Yeah.
So I could like run so fast I could get to China.
Yeah.
In like
in a short time.
In like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm Flash from
okay.
So if you had one superpower, what would it be?
What would it be? I actually don't know. Pretty good at winding people up. No. I'm not very PC, but I don't know if that's a superpower. But it doesn't
have to be your skill set. But if you could have one superpower, what do you reckon
what it would be? Growing people, teaching and training and coaching and growing people.
Yeah.
That's the feedback that if it's based on people's feedback, that would probably be what it is.
Oh no,
I wouldn't claim that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm more meaning like if you could have any superpower, like you could fly.
If I could.
If you could fly, you could.
You mean the superpower I wish I had?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now I get you. I thought you were saying your superpower was speed.
No.
That's what you'd like to have.
I'd like to have.
Oh goodness. Yeah, flying.
Really?
Yeah, ever since a kid. I mean, I did get, I did used to fly a plane, and that was a lot of fun. That was all my childhood dreams come true.
Really?
Yeah, little Piper Cub. That was a crazy gig. Like canvas covered old 1950s steel frame. Yeah. Wow. So fun. Did hours in that thing.
Do you still fly?
No, not anymore. Wife and kids now, so got other responsibilities. But
are they like a glider?
No. Like, it's powered. It's a single engine plane. Look, Google Piper Cub. They're very cool.
Oh yeah.
They're what they call a tail dragger, so they're much harder to land than a traditional, like a landing.
Yeah.
A nose dragger, yeah. Anyway, that was heaps of fun. But yeah, so you probably would be flying because I just like get such a thrill from that. Yeah.
We
that's a good question. I hadn't even thought about that question, so I've probably stuffed it up. But hey.
No, that's all good. We had a day here in the office where one of my mates was trained to be a pilot.
Okay.
And he needed to do his stalling practice.
Yes.
So he'd
fun.
done the stalls by himself. With like a trainer, but now he had to do it with passengers, and I think he had to have a minimum of 2.
Okay.
And it was funny because I sent a message into the group chat being like, "Hey guys and girls, who's keen
to go some stalling?
Like go for a drive? We'll fly around the whole of the mount.
Yeah,
it'll be like about a 45-minute flight.
Yeah.
Who's keen?
And a few stalls.
I didn't say that at first. No. So then everyone was like, "Oh yeah, keen."
Bring it on. Yeah.
And then I was like, "So the only catch is that we have to stall the engine."
Yeah.
While we're up there.
Yeah.
All of the guys pulled out.
Yeah.
All of the girls were like still keen.
Bring it on.
And then so in the end there was like I think 4 of the girls from the office, myself and then the training guy and then my mate Alex all went. Yeah. And it was epic.
Yeah,
like
great fun.
It was pretty hectic. You're flying along.
Yeah.
And an engine turns off. But I think he did something a little bit wrong because when he stalled, it suddenly dropped.
Yeah.
It like didn't just drop down; it like fully dropped to the side.
Yeah. So a wing stall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're meant to practice both actually: wing stalling and just straight out stalling.
Really?
So yeah, they're 2 different things. Wing stalling, you'll slip sideways. Yeah, it's a cool feeling. It's freaky at first.
It's pretty like it was pretty exciting. Like you feel like you have to trust them, otherwise it's
it's fun. But what you got to get in your head is that like the plane will automatically like it'll get into a glide position. It's just that first few seconds which really freaks you out. It's a cool feeling. It starts to shudder and the Piper Cub was and then the stick goes dead because in a Cub it's a stick between your legs.
Oh yeah.
Whereas you're probably in a Cessna, which is
was a Cessna.
Which is what do you call it? I can never remember the word. Blah blah. It's like a steering wheel.
Yeah, it was cool because I remember going. I've been up there quite a few times with them, and I even drove it down to Whakatane.
Yeah.
And then it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyway, it's good training. So I did them with the instructor. The instructor in a Piper Cub sits behind you because it's just 2 in line. So you're in the front. Yeah, when you first do a stall, you crap yourself and you're sweating and like you don't realize, but I used to get covered in sweat, literally. Yeah, freaky. But you don't realise till it's all over, and they're like, whoa, your wet hands and sweating like a pig. But yeah, and then I used to practice, and then you have to go do them by yourself as well when you start going solo. And so I used to fly out over the hills towards Raglan Way and then over Raglan Harbour. Beautiful, because we're from Te Kōwhai airfield, so it's only like a few minutes out over out to Raglan. Great place to learn and doing like emergency landing practice and all that sort of stuff as well. Yeah, heaps of fun. Anyway, so we got off topic here, haven't we? But
no, it's good.
It's good training actually, because you got to trust it teaches you to trust the process. Actually, being a pilot, it taught me a lot of things like using checklists and being very thorough, and there's some really good lessons in learning how to fly. Really good lessons.
I was going to go down the path.
Lots of checklists.
So, what would you take from even your stress management in that sense? Because being in control of people's lives, as a pilot, there's a certain degree of stress with that.
Yeah, huge.
And what would you say is your ways of de-stressing or calming down in a stressful environment?
So when I'm on Mother Earth, my de-stress is my gardens. So I've got crazy gardens. So I've got one of my properties. We've got over an acre of gardens. We're going to build a new house there one day, the dream house. But at the moment we've got another great spot we live, so we're happy. But the point is there's like, I should add it up. There's probably kilometres of hedges. There's like box hedging, and it's all like French formal. So there's just hedging everywhere. It's crazy. Spent like 500-600 grand on that property. It's just on the landscaping. It's just crazy. And so that's like, it's 3 or 4 nights a week. I'll do like 30 minutes on the way home of trimming, listening to my audiobook. That's my de-stress from the pressure of work and customers and people. So anyway, does that
no, that 100%.
And then same at our other place. We've got a hectare, but it's not it's more like a little farm. So we've got some sheep and 6 goats, and that's heaps of fun. But we've got much less garden, but still same thing, doing some lawn mowing and some hedge trimming, because people say to me, why don't you hire someone to do that? And I actually used to, but I've found it's actually a really good stress relief, and listening to audio book at the same time. So I sort of learn and de-stress at the same time, and add value, like cut the hedges, so I'm sort of knocking off 3 things at once.
Do you do any sports?
I play tennis every Saturday. We've got a tennis court that we play on, that we put in.
Astro?
It's one of our premier turf. It was one of our first courts actually that we put in. At that property, and but yes, I love that game. It's got a bit of skill and technique and strategy. Like it's a good teacher actually, tennis. It's a real mind game as well. Heaps about confidence.
Like golf.
Yeah. You play golf, do you? Or?
I play both. I love tennis.
Yeah, I used to play golf, but I'm a really impatient guy. So like, as I got older, I was like less and less time I just need action all the time. So like, yeah. Anyway, so no more golf for me.
Yeah, but so tennis.
Cool game,
and so would you say that you're a server, or are you forehand, backhand?
Not a server. I hope my mate who plays with me regularly is not listening right now, because he plays mind games with me. He thinks he's better than me. At the moment, he is ahead. we keep a record, so it's not meant to be,
It's not serious, but it's serious.
It's pretty serious, yeah. I've got a few other mates to play with as well, but anyway, so that's the main buzz. What else? I work out every day, 30 minutes a day, that's when I do my audio book as well. So I'm a big believer in like making the most of sort of every second, every minute. And so if you're doing something like a workout, for me, learning at the same time is, And so,
do you not find that though builds up quite a lot of pressure? Like you feel like you're always on? Like
no, well, sort of, but yeah, good question. And people ask me and they say, you're crazy, you pack too much into your day and your week and your month and everything else. But for me, I get more stressed from the regret of not packing stuff in. It's really strange. Well, I don't know. There's people out there that can probably relate to that. But so if I go like an hour without getting something done, I feel like a deep sense of regret about that hour's gone.
That period,
I like to add value all the time. Yeah, it's not to say but it's not to say I don't enjoy family time. Absolutely, it's a huge priority. And with the kids, I'll spend at least 2 hours a day just totally focused on them. But that for me, that's value adding. So I don't have any regret about that. Like it's, we're playing a game, a board game, or we're kicking a ball, or we're playing basketball, we're doing something, or reading a book, or doing a puzzle. That's value adding for me.
And how has business changed since having kids?
Big time, because it changed. Have you got kids?
Nah.
Not yet. It's a treat in store. I wish I'd done it like way earlier. But anyway, so it is what it is. And it changes your priorities hugely. I mean, anyone that's got kids will tell you that. I'm not telling you anything new, or probably the viewers here, is that your priorities go from, very business focused to the business support is all about supporting the family, So you suddenly got people that are really dependent on you. I mean, your staff are dependent on you, obviously, as a leader, and you need to turn up and be your best self every day, and coach and train them and help them hit their life goals fast. That's a huge belief of mine. But then kids is obviously next level responsibility, because you've got to turn them into great human help turn them into great human beings.
And how did you deal, because quite often you see people who have kids, when they first have kids, they can become workhorses, because suddenly they have this pressure that they need to feed, and they need
more people depending on them. Yeah, that's a hard one, and yes, that sense of responsibility goes up even more. But you also have this responsibility that if you don't invest quality time with this amazing little human being, then you're not doing your job either. So you're now a business owner and a father, and both of those things carry huge responsibility. especially if the more staff you have, the more responsibility you got. More kids you have, the more responsibility you've got. My limit's 2 right now. It probably will be forever. But so I think for me, you have to adapt real quickly, because I watch, and I've got heaps of mates like this too, and I see it all the time where people work crazy hours and their kids are growing up so fast. Yeah, and then they say to you, like I had a guy the other day, he's in his 50s, good friend of mine, and I said, so how many times are you taking your kids to school? I just never thought of it. And he said, it's gone. And he had, deep sense of regret. And I was like, yeah, exactly. And because my dad had 8 of us, I'm the oldest of 8 kids, right? So big family, great fun. No, it was amazing, and they did an incredible job. But his regret all the time is like, I didn't spend enough time with the kids, because he was building his business, and I didn't prioritize the kids enough because I was, trying to feed the family, which is totally understandable. So my goal is to learn from him and try and make some little adjustments all the time. So I'm always figuring out my program, because I plan my whole year, right? I plan my whole year of meetings, because we've got a very strict meeting cadence in our business. So I plan that whole year in advance, and then I plan each month, and I detail it more. Like just last night, I planned the whole of June in more detail, like around my regular meetings. And then because as each month comes up, you can fill in the gaps a bit more. And then I plan the whole week, and that fills in the gaps a lot more, and I plan each day the night before as well. So I'm always tweaking that, and I use an app called HabitShare. Actually been using that since 2017. That's been a real game changer for me. And just always trying to adjust those habits so that I can, have better quality time with the kids.
Yeah.
It's really important. And the whole wife and kids, but specifically kids. Because they're just growing. Like, my oldest is 7. It's like, where did those 7 years go? And I'm always thinking, how could I do better for him every day?
Yeah, it's funny. Even like my little nephew and niece, who I was with on the weekend, it's like hectic. I was like, "You're 5 now."
Yeah.
When did you turn? Like,
yeah. Where did that go?
But like,
where did that go? Where did that time go?
Yeah.
Freaky. And you're an uncle. Wait till you're a dad, and you'll be even more aware of that. And the older you get, you become acutely aware of the passing of time. It just gets, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
You look back 10 years. What's happened in the last 10 years? It's freaky.
Yeah. And so with the tech thing you mentioned around HabitShare,
yeah,
how often do you find as a business owner over the period of, how long has Premier been going for now?
I went into business really young when I was 18. So I think I was 18, yeah. And the business kind of started as a landscape design and construction company. So you could say you date it back 22 years, really. Yeah.
And so how have you found the change of technology, like how you've brought some in and potentially some of it's not been of any value and just wasted time?
Yeah.
How have you identified that?
Yeah, awesome question. One of our principles as a business now is use technology as an accelerator, not a creator of momentum. And that's really important. We probably borrowed that off Toyota, truth be told, or some great business, because I read all the best business books, Good to Great by Jim Collins and Scaling Up and all these amazing books, and they helped to create the business that we've got today. And so the lessons we take from these books, I'll grab a principle that just really resonates. So to answer that question, that is it. Literally use it as a accelerator, not a creator of momentum. So if you're looking at AI right now and going, I'm going to use this to create momentum in my business, you're probably barking up the wrong tree. Use it as an accelerator. If it's going to, you're probably on the same page, but so many businesses, they'll look at the latest CRM and they'll go, this is going to solve all my problems. But they haven't got the right disciplines in place, so they bring it in and it gets filled up with garbage, and it's worth worse than nothing. They spend thousands of dollars and lots of time on it, but they haven't used it as an accelerator. They've used it as they tried to create momentum with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and often I feel like I see it all the time with businesses where they'll create or add in a new tech.
Yeah.
But they won't necessarily invest enough.
Good. You're good. Yeah.
They won't necessarily invest enough money or time into it to make it work properly.
Yes, yeah,
so they
absolutely.
do 50%.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's actually not actually delivering.
Yeah.
Making sure that you have the technology doing what it's meant to be doing and not using it for things that it's actually not.
100%. Another thing, I totally agree. Another thing I'll add for your viewers is that we take a crawl, walk, run approach to technology. And sometimes it's really frustrating for me because I'm such an impatient guy and I want to can we just implement this thing and just make it happen? But I'm always just, having to pull the handbrake on myself and our leadership team and just make sure that if we're testing a new CRM or testing a new product, just dip your toes in, crawl, walk, run. Because again, I've been burnt in the past where we've invested huge money in some piece of technology and it's been a complete flop, or it's been the wrong application. Or, so just take it slowly, and then once you've got it, and once you know it's the right thing, then absolutely go nuts. So,
and before you even start that, ideally identify what your core things are.
Yeah.
So like,
what are your goals for using that piece of technology? Or
and
what's the problem that you want it to solve? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many small business owners, and you'd see it, Lawrence, they get sucked into, a great ad, and this is going to solve all my problems, and they haven't even really identified what the true problem is.
Yeah, it's a hard one, and that's something that we're actually doing a lot more of now, is where we're talking to clients about, it's not just your marketing, it's actually the whole strategy around business growth.
Yes, yeah.
So yes, we implement a campaign that will deliver leads, sales, everything else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we also want to work with clients long term, not short term.
Yeah.
So there's some things you can implement for a client, and it will create overnight success.
Yes.
But that overnight success isn't sustainable long term.
Yeah.
And you see that lots with ads.
Yeah.
Because like as an agency, there's ways that I know that tomorrow I could go into a business and generate sales for them overnight if they weren't doing certain things.
Yeah.
But if I did that, it means that in 3 months' time, I will have burnt all of that resource.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And you're not going to really be able to generate.
Yeah. So your job is to make sure you're recommending the right technology.
Yeah. And on top of that as well, like educating the clients of what the opportunities actually are, not just...
Yeah. And how to use it.
Yeah.
And best practice with that technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like there was a client actually in Aussie that we've been working with, and they came to us because they were in a 100K hole.
Yeah.
And all of their shareholders were like, hey, we need to come out of this.
Yeah.
So we had a meeting with them and a consultant that they had brought in to sort of look at their business and different opportunities.
Yes.
And from that, it was clearly outlined that they had like this, I think it was like a $300,000 printer in their business for bottling and things like that they weren't even using.
Yeah.
Really. It was being used like once every 3 weeks.
Yeah, crazy.
So I was like, well, there's an opportunity there that we've got an asset that we need to use, and we can quickly do a marketing campaign that's going to generate leads, and it's going to create a whole new business unit for that business.
And make it pay for itself.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And from that, they instantly had now that is actually a whole new custom element to their business, which they didn't even
have before.
And now that just runs ongoing, but it's
so good.
Yeah, finding those sort of opportunities. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And so, I guess final thing, are you from Hamilton, like originally?
Yeah, born and bred there, so pretty boring. I have travelled around a bit, but still love the mighty Waikato. And we've got an office obviously in Tauranga and 2 of our factories here. So a lot of our businesses, like a lot of our core actual people, are in, and our infrastructure is over in Tauranga. So I come over here and once or twice a month, and they're always, we've always got this sort of Hamilton versus your Waikato versus Bay of Plenty thing going on, and I do love it over here. It is beautiful. By the way, you get to live work close to the mount by the looks.
Yeah, well, it's not too far to go for a surf, I can tell you.
But I'm very like, mum and dad and lots of the family still live there. It's like, I've always thought about maybe moving over here or moving somewhere else just to get out of my comfort zone. But I prefer to get out of my comfort zone in other ways and stay close to home. So very much Waikato, born and bred.
And so with the business then, one thing I did want to ask actually was, do you see yourself exporting?
Yeah, so we do already. So we export a lot to Bunnings Australia, and we've sent a lot of, and that's like some of our schist stepping stone products. Like we send container loads of that every month. They're a great account, and we have other other smaller customers over there. We have sent stone into the UK before for whatever reason. Just we've got some beautiful schist, New Zealand schist that you can't buy anywhere else in the world, obviously, because it's from under the ground here. And it's what else? We've exported to Japan a little bit. Some of our bagged products. Yeah, so we've export will grow with us, but we've still got a lot to do in the domestic market. Like a lot of our brands are relatively new. Like so, the Premier Brick's it's an old established brand. Premier Pavers is very established. Premier Block, which is our retaining, Keystone retaining, that's pretty established. But then there's a lot of brands that are a bit newer, like Premier Turf, Premier Cement, Premier Tiles, our True Stone brand, which is like granite and travertine and all the beautiful stones from around the world. So there's lots of these brands that have got, like, they're growing fast and they've got a lot more room to grow just locally. So again, I used to travel a lot before I had kids, but that's another thing that changed. It's like soon as I had kids, it's like, wow, I just don't want to go away anymore. I just want to be here all the time, because every day they're grown up so quickly. So that's another huge change that I didn't talk about. So for me, that's kind of changed my thinking as well. And other people in the business now do the traveling. So we're going to, there's always people traveling somewhere. We've got a guy in China right now visiting suppliers. We've got a guy going to Spain next month. We've got a guy going to Malaysia and Vietnam next month as well. So they're doing the traveling instead of me now. So
it's nice,
though. Which is cool for them. They're loving it, and it's great. And I'd just rather be home with the kids.
And so final thing.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does. Yeah.
So export will grow, but it's not huge. It's not high on the radar right now.
Yeah. And so with the products then, how much of your business do you do direct to customer?
We do. Yeah. So we've got. That's a great question. We have the reseller outlets, like I talked about, the big stores, the big box stores, and that's like 99% of our paving goes through those guys. Then we have the True Stone brand, which is lots of our natural stone products. A lot of that is sold direct to trade customers, and probably 90% of our house brick products are sold directly to the builders. So so there's kind of, and then we obviously are visiting architects every day because they specify our products. So there's a few different customer segments, and again, if you're listening to this and you're wanting to grow your business, as you grow, you got to work out what your target customer profile is in every segment, and make sure you identify what those segments are, because it's easy for a business like us to blindly just chase trade business without going and seeing architects. And we see, again, it's a big weakness we see with businesses as we go around doing business coaching is, hey, do you even know who your customers are, your customer segments? I guess you're a pro at all that, but
and where they sit as well.
Exactly.
So are you talking to architects on XYZ platform?
Yeah, that's right.
But they actually are never
there.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, where are your customers? Where are they hanging out? The fastest way is to get on the phone and say, can we come and see you? Can we send you some info? There's a lot of
which is, and I guess the benefit of coming from a sales background from myself, well, marketing and sales, but I'm more in sales.
Yes.
Is that when you're rejected?
Yes.
Don't hesitate to ask a question why.
Yeah, great advice.
Because
absolutely.
A really good example of that actually recently is a client in WA contacted us wanting us to, they were talking to lots of different agencies wanting to build up their business. And we were like, hey, this is how we'll do it.
Yes.
When they came back and they were like, hey, we're going with a different provider.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
May I know why?
Yeah.
And they were just purely down to price.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool. I was like, totally fine. If your position changes, reach out in the future.
Yeah.
And actually, last week she contacted me back.
There you go.
And got a meeting next week.
Yeah, you're back
about
in
it.
Back in
but
the
it's
circle.
but if you don't ask them why,
you
can't potentially give them a solution on,
or you can't improve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And know where your sales or marketing process needs to change.
Yeah.
And
it helps you. You gain a lot of market intelligence by asking those questions too. It's the same with us. If we lose a quote, we're like, so why do we lose it? Was it color? Was it price? Was it service? Was it we didn't have it in stock? Like, what was it? And then that gets fed back to the team, and we make sure we're making those little adjustments all the time. And often if it's price, then we've always got answers to that price objection, or why we're more expensive. So what you say is great. You've got to find out why. Absolutely.
Yeah. Find the why.
Yeah, find the why. Because there's a great saying is that you either win or you learn. You don't actually lose, really, because you learn. If you lose a quote, you learn. You can call it a loss, or you can call it a learning opportunity. Same with this whole lean buzz we talked about at the start, is that every time you make a mistake, you're learning, or you should be. That's the goal. So, and this is the beauty of going back to 2 second lean. If you want to finish off on this, is that the power of it is that it takes your business. Let's say you got 20 people in your business right now, one owner. It takes you from one owner to 20 owners, because people start to. Because as an owner, you learn from making mistakes. That's how I learned in the early days. Now I learn from reading great books. I wish I'd known that 20 years ago. Anyway, so you learn from a mixture of talking to people like you and everyone I meet. You learn from everyone and everything, but now you're giving your people an opportunity to learn from making tiny mistakes. They'll make what they think's an improvement. They stuff it up. They learn from that. But if you don't give them that opportunity, how are they going to learn?
You have to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You have to, and you have to let staff make mistakes.
Let your people make mistakes. Yeah, that's a big one. Big mindset shift though for most business.
It's obviously you don't want them making continuous mistakes, and they can't make continuous mistakes. Otherwise, you won't have a business. Generally, but unless you're a massive whale, and then you can.
No, it's correct. It's correct.
Long term,
it's not sustainable.
Yeah,
but you've got to give them an opportunity every day to make mistakes. And if you look, actually, here's a great quote we love: "Success demands failure," because the most successful people in the world have failed the most. You don't think about it that way, but they've only got successful because they've failed faster and faster and faster, learnt faster than the people that are in the same industry. Or the same sport or whatever. Yeah. Powerful, simple.
Sweet. Well, let's get on the tennis court and I can kick your ass.
Yeah, you probably will. I like to think I'm good, but I'm actually not. It's a great game. You play a bit of it?
I'll play a little bit.
Yeah, it's so fun. So are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Are we done? All right. Thanks, man. Great to meet you, Lawrence.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me on. Very kind. And
Till
I hope
next
you guys
time.
got some value.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Did we get some value?
I don't know. I think so.
let the viewers judge. Thanks, man.
Thanks for tuning in to another Squid Group podcast. If you're looking for a marketing partner to grow your brand, business, or event, contact us here at Squid Group. See you next time.